in the hushed reverence of Harvard's hallowed halls, where knowledge's echoes whispered through time, a brilliant enigma unfolded. A world-renowned professor vanished without a trace, leaving behind a legacy of scientific brilliance and an unsolved mystery that echoed through the corridors of academia. This is the tale of a vanishing act that continues to baffle and intrigue, the enigmatic disappearance of Professor Donald Wiley, within the labyrinthine corridors of Harvard's biochemistry labs, where fluorescent lights buzzed like trapped insects under ceilings, heavy with the weight of unspoken discoveries. Professor Don Wiley paced his cluttered office, his gaunt frame bent by the burden of genius that masked a soul fractured by the isolation of relentless pursuit, a man whose breakthroughs in viral structures clashed with the gnawing void of personal despair. Torn between illuminating humanity's defenses against disease and the dark whispers of self-doubt that echoed from his failed marriage and sleepless nights, Professor Wiley's brilliance was a beacon, illuminating the intricate world of viruses, deciphering their structures and guiding researchers toward effective defenses. But even as he made strides in understanding these microscopic foes, he grappled with a different kind of battle within his own life's labyrinth. Professor Wiley, born in 1943 amid the wartime shadows of Akron's industrial gloom, had ascended from humble roots to Nobel contender, his psyche scarred by a father's early death that instilled a drive for immortality through science. His childhood home, a modest abode in a working-class neighborhood, bore silent witness to the ambitions that simmered within its walls. As Don grew, so did his fascination with the unseen world of viruses, a fascination that would lead him to the pinnacle of scientific achievement, yet also cast an ominous shadow over his personal life. His career took flight with a fellowship at the prestigious California Institute of Technology, where his groundbreaking work on viral proteins began to turn heads. He moved to Harvard in 1971, where he not only advanced in academic ranks, but also met Lita, a love that anchored him amidst the turbulence of his research. They married, creating a haven of warmth and laughter in Cambridge, a stark contrast to the sterile labs where he spent countless hours, a sanctuary where he could shed the mantle of the brilliant professor and be simply Don, the loving husband. The birth of his children added new dimensions to his life, shaping him into a father who, despite his demanding schedule, cherished the moments he shared with his family. Yet as Don scaled greater heights in the scientific realm, cracks began to appear in his personal life. The relentless pressure of research, the constant scrutiny of the academic world, and the burden of his own perfectionism took a toll on his marriage. Lita, sensing the widening chasm, tried to bridge the divide, but the strain on their relationship became increasingly evident. By the late 1990s, their paths diverged. Their marriage dissolved, leaving Don adrift in a sea of solitude, grappling with feelings of abandonment and loss, wrestling with demons that lurked in the quiet corners of his heart. Don found solace in his work, immersing himself in research that seemed almost like a refuge from the turmoil within. He delved deeper into understanding the structures of viruses, hoping to find answers in the intricate mechanisms of life at its most elemental level. His work on the HIV virus was particularly significant, contributing substantially to our understanding of this complex foe. Yet, even as his scientific contributions grew, a sense of unease lingered at the edges of his brilliance. The events of September 11, 2001, cut deep into his being, shaking his faith in humanity's capacity for peace. Fear of bioterrorism loomed large, casting a long shadow over his work. The prospect of deadly pathogens unleashed intentionally sent shockwaves through the scientific community, and Don found himself at the center of this maelstrom, thrust into the role of a key figure in the nation's defense against invisible warfare. He worked tirelessly, driven by a sense of urgency, determined to contribute whatever knowledge he could to protect humanity from emerging threats. As November 15, 2001, waned into evening, Don attended a board meeting at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in Memphis, his sharp mind dissecting protein puzzles amid colleagues' admiration. yet his eyes betrayed fatigue, lines etching deeper like cracks in porcelain under strain. The hospital's mission of aiding children battling cancer and other diseases was a source of inspiration, but the weight of responsibility pressed heavily on him. His dedication was unwavering, but beneath the surface, a storm brewed, unseen and gathering strength, mirroring the turmoil that raged within him. Among those present was Dr. Alina Vargas, a rising star in the field of virology, her passion for her work matched only by her fierce determination to succeed. Hailing from Cuba, she brought with her the tragic essence of a homeland marked by both beauty and turmoil. Alina, a recipient of Dawn's mentorship, harbored a deep respect and admiration for her mentor, but her feelings ran deeper, a fact she kept carefully veiled. Her silence was born out of a profound understanding of the delicate balance between professional boundaries and unspoken emotions. While her heart ached with a love that could never be fully expressed, her loyalty to Dawn remained steadfast, a silent promise whispered in the corridors of her heart. The meeting concluded, the board members departed, each carrying with them fragments of the evening's discussions. Back at the hotel room, Alina allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection, her thoughts drifting to Dawn, her heart heavy with the premonition of what was to come. She had sensed a kindred spirit in him, a shared passion for their craft, and an understanding that transcended the usual mentor-mentee dynamic. For Alina, the world of virology was more than just a profession. It was a canvas on which she painted her dreams, aspirations that mirrored Dawn's own. But her journey was not without its obstacles. As an immigrant navigating the often turbulent waters of academia, Alina faced challenges that tested her resilience, moments when the weight of expectations and prejudices threatened to overshadow her brilliance. Through it all, she held on to her Cuban heritage, a rich tapestry of culture and spirit that informed her perspective and fueled her determination. That night, as city lights twinkled like distant stars mocking human frailty, Dawn dined with peers at a riverside restaurant, laughter ringing hollow amid clinking glasses. The camaraderie was genuine, but Dawn's mind was elsewhere, the mirth around him doing little to dispel the shadows that had become his constant companions. The spectre of anthrax scares loomed large, amplifying the sense of foreboding that had taken root in his heart. Each laugh felt strained, each conversation a chore. He excused himself early, professing fatigue, though exhaustion was the least of his worries. Driving his rental Hertz Ford Taurus across the Hernando de Soto Bridge, the Mississippi's dark waters churned below like a voracious maw, winds howling through girders like lamentations from the deep. Dawn's thoughts swirled visions of crystalline viruses unraveling under his gaze, clashing with nightmares of weaponized plagues. His calm demeanor was a facade, a shield to deflect the growing concern among his colleagues. But the bridge offered little solace, its imposing structure unable to contain the tempest that raged within him. It was here, on this lonely stretch of roadway, that the line between his professional life and his inner turmoil blurred, giving way to the abyss. Suddenly, the car veered, lights piercing fog like accusatory beams, but no witnesses saw the halt. The vehicle abandoned with keys in ignition, hazard lights flashing like desperate signals in the void. Alina, back at the hotel, felt a chill, her dreams plagued by Dawn's form dissolving in mist. In the morning, the full horror of his absence dawned on her. She recalled his haunted look, the fleeting touch of his hand, the enigma of his silence. When police arrived, flashlights sweeping the bridge's underbelly, beams dancing on river's inky surface, where debris floated like discarded hopes, no body surfaced. Theories budded like poisonous blooms, suicide from hidden depression, murder by shadowy agents fearing his expertise. His lab became a crime scene, his papers scattered like leaves in autumn gale, revealing no notes, only equations that hinted at unfinished defenses against invisible foes. Alina wept in private, her envy turning to remorse, visions assailing her of Dawn's smile fading into fog. Meanwhile, in Cambridge's cozy home adorned with family photos that now mocked her solitude, Don's wife Lita received the call. Her nurturing spirit shattered against waves of denial, terror of his burdens, his unexplained absences, the haunting phone calls from colleagues speaking in hushed tones. She clung to the belief in his strength, the vibrancy that had once filled their home. For the investigators, the case was a puzzle with missing pieces. Don's brilliance, his troubled personal life, the fear of bioterrorism. None could provide a complete picture. His colleagues grappled with the implications of his disappearance, the fear of lost knowledge, the potential threat of stolen research. The world of science stood still, grappling with the enigma of a vanished colleague, wondering if they would ever see his brilliant smile again. In the sterile glow of his lab, Alina clutched his unpublished manuscript, tears blotting ink that ran like blood from open wounds. The lab's harsh fluorescent lights cast her shadow elongated like a mourner's silhouette in eternal vigil, and as the days turned into weeks, the hope of his return flickered, then faded, leaving behind a profound sense of loss. His absence echoing through the corridors of academia, a haunting reminder of a brilliant mind lost to the shadows. Did you find this story intriguing? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your feedback is our driving force. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on captivating mysteries. Thank you for watching. Stay curious. It was January 2002, amid the oppressive haze of Memphis winter dawn, where the Mississippi's currents murmured secrets beneath bridges arched like skeletal spines. Under skies veined with clouds heavy with unshed rain, search teams scoured riverbanks, their boots sinking in the mud like fingers into fresh graves. On the other side of the country, Don Wiley's absence echoed through Harvard's hallowed halls like a requiem for lost intellect, his scientific legacy clashing with the void of his vanishing. On December 2001, Donald Wiley, a prominent Harvard University biochemist, had vanished without a trace, leaving behind a web of speculation and unanswered questions. Last seen at the Hernando de Soto Bridge, a critical point in the investigation, Don had been alone, his car parked precariously close to the bridge's edge, suggesting a possible accident. Yet no trace of him or any sign of a struggle was found. It was as if he had evaporated into thin air, leaving his colleagues and loved ones to grapple with the chilling possibility that he may have met foul play. The news reverberated through the academic community, sending shockwaves of worry and disbelief. Back in Cambridge, the picture was one of confusion. Don's wife, Lita, a fellow biochemist and partner in both life and work, struggled to comprehend his disappearance. She paced their Cambridge parlor, a space usually filled with the vibrant energy of intellectual discourse, now stifled by the suffocating grip of fear. The room bore witness to their shared journey, adorned with artifacts from global conferences they'd attended together, each artifact now a mocking reminder of their isolation. Then there was Alina, Don's research assistant, her mind grappling with a different set of questions. Her feelings for her mentor were more than professional, yet she kept them hidden, fearing they'd overshadow their working relationship. Now she found herself caught in a labyrinth of guilt and concern. Had her unspoken affections played a role in Dawn's actions? Or was there a darker force at play, something sinister that had ensnared him and was now keeping him from returning? As the days slipped by, the FBI descended on Memphis, their presence casting an even deeper shadow over the city's fog-bound streets. Agents in somber trench coats, flapping like raven wings in the river winds, questioned Dawn's colleagues, their eyes sharp as scalpels, dissecting every detail of his life and work. They unearthed recent stresses in his life, grant pressures and marital strains, yet no suicide note. Only a series of emails hinted at exhaustion's edge, a weariness that could have pushed him to the brink. But why would he leave behind his work, his life, his loved ones? The FBI's search continued, but with little success, leaving behind a haunting question that echoed across the nation. Was this a case of tragic accident, heartbreaking suicide, or something far more sinister, a murder most foul? Back in Boston, Lita found herself summoned to the sterile halls of the FBI office in a city where autumn's chill had seeped into the bones of the buildings. Here, over cups of coffee that steamed like alchemical potions, agents pieced together the fragments of Dawn's life, searching for clues that could lead them to their missing loved one. Questions about their marriage, their relationship, their life together. Nothing was off limits as the agents sought to understand the man they were looking for. At first, Lita resisted, shielding the sanctity of their relationship from prying eyes. But the need for answers, the desperation to find Dawn, drove her to open up with each answer. She hoped to draw closer to finding her husband. But as the days passed and Dawn remained missing, the guilt began to gnaw at her. Could she have done something to prevent this? Could she have known? The thought of losing Dawn was unbearable, yet it loomed over her, a dark cloud on the horizon. Meanwhile, at Harvard, Elena received her own summons to the sterile realm of the FBI office. Here, in the stark fluorescent-lit rooms, she confessed her unspoken feelings for her mentor, her voice trembling as she spoke of her admiration, respect, and love for Dawn. But as the gravity of her words sank in, she realized she had made a terrible mistake. Her ambition, her yearning to be closer to Dawn, had blinded her to the danger it could bring. Now, trapped in the labyrinth of her own making, she grappled with the guilt of not speaking up sooner, fearing her oversight had played a part in Dawn's disappearance. With the testimonies complete, the agents began their long journey home, carrying with them a trove of information and a multitude of theories. In the quiet of their offices, they sifted through the evidence, searching for that one crucial piece that could unlock the mystery of Dawn's disappearance. Every lead was a beacon of hope, every interview a potential breakthrough. The clock was ticking, and the FBI were determined to use every second wisely. Then came the call that sent ripples of anticipation through the ranks. A body had been found snagged in the debris of the Louisiana's river, 300 miles south of where Dawn's car was last seen. Hope surged, but it was tinged with a deep sense of foreboding. As the divers hauled the form aboard, the reality of the situation crashed down on them. The body was bloated, unrecognizably, like a relic from some drowned myth. The discovery shook the team to its core. They had found someone, but was it Dawn? The thought clawed at their minds, refusing to yield an answer. In the end, it was the simplest of things that provided the answer. Lita Wiley, poring over dental records, found a match that confirmed their worst fears. It was Dawn. The confirmation hit them all at once, the full weight of their loss, their failure crashing down like a tidal wave. Meanwhile, back in Vidalia, the autopsy had been completed. No foul play marks, the report stated, a small comfort in the face of such a tragic loss. Dawn's lungs were filled with the silt of the river, like sins ingested, according to the pathologist. The news was relayed back to Boston, each word a nail hammered into the coffin of their hopes. Suicide by drowning was the preliminary ruling, a gentle end, they said. But how could Dawn have taken his own life without leaving any trace, without a whisper of intent? As the weeks passed, the official narrative began to solidify, nudging the public towards the idea of a troubled mind pushed to the edge. Theories swirled, each more fantastical than the last. Some spoke of shadowy government agencies, others of jealous rivals. The whispers grew louder, weaving a tangled web of conspiracy. The police stood firm, citing fatigue and the bridge's low rail as the reason for Dawn's fall. Wind tunnel tests failed to explain the car's position. Each piece of evidence, no matter how tenuous, was dragged into the light of scrutiny. Nothing, it seemed, was beyond the pale. Yet amidst the clamor, there were those who held back, like Jack Strominger, Dawn's colleague and mentor, his face etched with the burdens of years spent at the forefront of biophysics research. He watched and listened as the world speculated, each theory a fresh wound tearing at the fabric of their shared grief. In the solitude of his lab, surrounded by the tools of his trade, beakers bubbling like cauldrons of fate, he grappled with his own demons. Why Dawn? Why now? These questions echoed in his mind, unanswered, unwelcome. He had seen brilliance in Don, a reflection of his younger self. And now that flame had been extinguished, leaving behind only the cold ashes of what could have been. As the official narrative began to take shape, he knew his time at the Institute was drawing to a close. Retirement beckoned, not as a time for rest, but as a retreat to the shadows, a place where he could confront the specters of his past and the future he'd been denied. Then came the day when the train of inquiry seemed to halt abruptly. The official reports arrived, sealing the file on Don's death, treating it as if it were a tomb's slab. Finality pressed down, stifling the cries of those who felt the investigation had been incomplete. The questions left unanswered. Whispers turned to murmurs, then died away, leaving behind a haunting silence. But in the quiet of the night, when the world was cloaked in slumber, the theories resurfaced, carried on the breath of the wind, slithering through cracks and doors, weaving their way into dreams. Was it indeed a case of fatigue driving Don to the edge? Or was it a deliberate choice, a calculated step into oblivion? Did he take his own life because he felt his work was nearing its end? Or was it a tragic accident, a momentary lapse in judgment born out of exhaustion? Perhaps it was a combination of these factors, a confluence of circumstances that led to this fateful night. But there was another school of thought, darker, more unsettling, believing that Don hadn't fallen into the river at all. Instead, they argued, he was pushed, nudged by a hand unseen into the murky depths by someone who wanted his brilliance silenced, his work curtailed. Who that person was and why they acted remained a mystery, lost in the swirling mists of conspiracy. In the end, the truth lay submerged in the river's murky depths, forever out of reach, leaving us to grapple with the echoes of what might have been and the haunting specter of what we may never know. The year is 2003, and famed scientist Don Wiley has fallen to his death from a bridge. But is it really an open and shut case of accidental death, or is there a sinister plot at foot? Join us today as we delve deep into this baffling tale. Welcome back, dear friends, to our channel, where today we re-diving into the murky depths of a tale that's less a whodunit and more a who cares. Welcome to the perplexing puzzle that is Don Wiley's demise. Picture this: the year is 2003, and renowned virologist Don Wiley, he of the esteemed Harvard Medical School, is on a trip to visit a pharmaceutical giant in the heart of Cambridge. All seems well until a fateful moment when Wiley is captured on CCTV crossing a bridge. Moments later, alarm bells ring as he vanishes from sight, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and a community of scholars grappling with a truth that may lie buried beneath layers of official narratives. Now, let's turn our attention to the enigmatic figure at the center of this narrative, Donald A. Wiley. Born in 1946, Wiley wasn't just a name. He was a trailblazer in the field of virology, a man whose work was as intricate and groundbreaking as the viruses themselves that he studied. His dedication earned him prestigious accolades, including the prestigious National Academy of Sciences and membership in the elite American Academy of Arts and Sciences. As we peer into the tapestry of his life, we find a man deeply committed to unraveling the secrets of viruses, particularly the deadly Ebola virus, laying the groundwork for future treatments. But as the spotlight shone brightly on his professional life, Wiley's personal life took on a different hue, a somber tone that foreshadowed the tragedy that lay ahead. His marriage was a turbulent sea, a stark contrast to the clarity he sought in his research. And in 2001, the once strong bond fractured, leading to a separation. This period marked a significant shift in Wiley's life, a detour from the laboratory's clarity into the murkier waters of personal strife. Yet, even in this darkness, his spirit remained undimmed, finding solace in his work and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. Little did the world know that this resilience would be put to its ultimate test just 2 years later, as the wheels of justice turned and the investigation into Wiley's untimely demise moved forward. The findings presented a puzzling scenario. The autopsy report revealed a grim reality: injuries consistent with a fatal fall, effectively silencing any lingering doubts about the cause of death. However, as the days turned into weeks, a sense of unease began to take root among Wiley's colleagues and loved ones. Was this renowned scientist, this beacon of knowledge, truly gone just like that? Or was there more to the story, a hidden truth lurking beneath the surface of this seemingly open and shut case? Adding fuel to this burgeoning mystery, the toxicology report came back clean, shedding no light on what might have driven Wiley to such a drastic step. This only served to deepen the enigma, turning up the heat on a narrative that seemed too simplistic, too devoid of complexities. And as the investigation continued, the focus narrowed onto one pivotal question: was this an accident, a suicide, or was there foul play, a sinister hand at work? Amidst this maelstrom of uncertainty, the quiet strength of Lita Proctor emerged. She was not just a person connected to the deceased. She was his wife, a partner who shared not just a life, but a passion for unraveling the mysteries of the microscopic world. Her journey through grief was intertwined with her unwavering resolve to seek the truth, making her not just a grieving widow, but a determined seeker of justice. Lita Proctor, the steadfast companion of the late Don Wiley, was a force of nature in her own right. Her connection to Wiley went beyond the conventional ties of matrimony. They were partners in life and in their shared passion for virology. Together they explored the intricate labyrinth of viruses, making significant strides in understanding these microscopic foes. Lita's role in this partnership extended beyond the traditional image of a supportive spouse. She was a collaborator, a sounding board, and a fellow traveler in the pursuit of scientific understanding. However, fate had a cruel twist in store. The sudden demise of her husband plunged her into a whirlwind of grief and disbelief. Yet amidst the storm of sorrow, Lita found an anchor in her determination to seek the truth behind Wiley's death. She channeled her grief into action, tirelessly working to uncover what truly transpired on that fateful day. Lita's journey was marked by relentless effort, a testament to her indomitable spirit. She scoured through every piece of evidence, every piece of information, leaving no stone unturned in her quest for answers. Her commitment was unwavering, her resolve unbreakable, making her more than just a grieving widow. Lita became a symbol of perseverance, a beacon of hope in the face of adversity, a true warrior in the battle for truth and justice. Yet her path was fraught with challenges, with every lead seeming to take her deeper into a labyrinth of deceit and half-truths. But Lita was not one to be deterred. She pressed on, her determination fueled by an unquenchable thirst for the truth. As the investigation progressed, a nagging question echoed in the minds of many. Why did Don Wiley take his own life? The official narrative pointed towards a troubled state of mind. But this explanation seemed inadequate, failing to capture the essence of the brilliant scientist who had touched so many lives. Those who knew Wiley saw him as a dedicated scholar, a passionate mentor, and a kind-hearted friend. The thought of him succumbing to despair seemed incomprehensible, creating a chasm between the official account and the personal memories. Wiley's colleagues and students bore witness to his brilliance, his dedication, and above all, his indomitable spirit. They recalled a man who, despite the weight of his accomplishments, remained humble, approachable, and brimming with enthusiasm for his work. His passing left a void, not just in the academic community, but in their hearts. Each grappled with the dissonance between the Wiley they knew and the dark cloud of depression that supposedly led to his demise. It was as if the very idea of Wiley succumbing to such despair was a betrayal, a challenge to the vibrant, spirited individual they held in esteem. Their personal experiences formed a chorus of disbelief, each voice adding another layer to the complexity of the enigma surrounding Wiley's death. Was this a case of a brilliant mind overwhelmed by the darkness of the soul? Or was there a sinister secret lurking beneath the surface, a truth that the official narrative failed to capture? As the investigation deepened, a new player emerged, Elena Stramberg, Wiley's former student and colleague. Her connection to Wiley ran deep, forged in the fires of academic pursuit and tempered by mutual respect. Now she found herself at a crossroads, balancing the legacy of her mentor with the raw grief of a friend lost. Strindberg's journey through this labyrinth of emotions was nothing short of tragic. On one hand, she carried forward the torch of Wiley's scientific pursuits, honoring his memory by building on the foundations he had laid. Her work became a tribute to her mentor, a way to keep his spirit alive in the realm of scientific discovery. But this dedication was not without its shadows. Every success, every breakthrough was tainted with the memory of Wiley's untimely demise, making victory feel like a Pyrrhic one. Strindberg's story is a poignant reminder of the human cost of brilliance, the toll it takes on those around the gifted, and the enduring impact of loss on the pursuit of excellence. In the ensuing years, the case of Don Wiley's demise continued to reverberate, not just within the hallowed halls of academia, but in the shadowy realms of conspiracy theories as well. Among the more outlandish propositions, the notion that Wiley might have been a victim of foul play stood out. Some speculated that his extensive research on deadly viruses, particularly Ebola and HIV, might have made him a target. The theory posited that his expertise could be critical for developing bioweapons, leading to a sinister plot that silenced him forever. This dark hypothesis cast Wiley's death as more than just a personal tragedy. It transformed it into a potential threat to the scientific community at large, raising the unsettling possibility that in the wrong hands, knowledge could become the deadliest weapon of all. Amidst this maelstrom of theories, the quest for truth took on a new urgency. Calls for a reinvestigation grew louder, echoing in the chambers of government and resonating in the hearts of those who refused to accept the official narrative. Protests erupted, demanding a closer scrutiny of the evidence, a desperate attempt to pierce the veil of uncertainty that shrouded Wiley's death. The pressure mounted, forcing authorities to confront the uncomfortable possibility that in their rush to categorize Wiley's death, they might have overlooked crucial details. The stage was set for a showdown between those who sought to bury the past and those who were determined to unearth the truth. Would the veil of secrecy finally be lifted, or would Wiley's sacrifice be in vain? Only time would tell. And as the years marched on, the case of Don Wiley's demise remained a haunting enigma, a puzzle with missing pieces that refused to fit. Wiley's death left a scar on the scientific community, a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the elusiveness of truth. The grand pronouncements of accident or suicide rang hollow in the face of unanswered questions, leaving behind a legacy of doubt and speculation. One can almost hear the echo of his footsteps in the deserted corridors of Harvard Medical School, his presence lingering in the laughter of students and the hum of activity in the labs. The image of him standing by the window, peering into the vast expanse of the Charles River, is almost too painful to contemplate. Did he ever look at that same bridge, knowing his journey would end there? The world may have moved on, but for some, the quest for justice, for answers continues. In the quiet moments, when the world is asleep, they find themselves poring over old documents, chasing down leads, hoping against hope that one day the truth will set them free. For them, this is more than a case. It's a duty, a responsibility to keep Wiley's memory alive. And so the story of Don Wiley serves as a somber reminder that sometimes the greatest mysteries are not those that defy logic, but those that defy the boundaries between life and death, truth and deception. It's a tale that will continue to be told and retold, ensuring that the legacy of Wiley lives on, not just in the annals of scientific history, but in the hearts and minds of those who seek justice in an imperfect world.